My family skipped my wedding, leaving 4 empty chairs that cut deeper than words. Years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, and building a $100M hotel empire alone, all ignored. When they suddenly call for a family discussion, I walk in not to beg, but to reclaim my life and show them the truth they never expected. Let's go to the story. My name is Rose Carter, and people think success is the loudest moment of your life. But the truth is, silence can be louder, painfully louder. My family didn't skip my birthday. They didn't skip my promotion. They skipped my wedding, the one day I begged them to show up not as critics, not as judges, but as family. That afternoon, 4 empty chairs reserved for them in the front row stared at me like open wounds. Not one message, not one call, not one apology. Just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't echo. It cuts. 1 week later, when the news announced my independent hotel chain had reached a $100 million valuation, my phone suddenly lit up. Dad, family dinner at 7 p.m. important discussion. And in that single moment, I understood everything I'd been refusing to see for years. They didn't want to celebrate with me. They wanted to claim me, claim my success, claim what they never helped build. But they didn't know I was coming to that dinner with the one thing they never expected: clarity. Wait, before I continue, answer this in the comments. What would you do in this situation? Childhood. Growing up in our small house in Madison, Wisconsin, everything looked normal on the outside. A creaky porch swing, flowers my mom pretended to love, the faint scent of lemon cleaner drifting out the windows. But inside, everything revolved around my father, Gregory Carter, and his obsession with legacy. Not family. Not love. Legacy. He owned a chain of rundown motels, the kind with faded carpets and flickering vacancy signs. He spoke about them the way most fathers speak about their children. I used to think that meant he cared. I learned later it meant he needed control. My mother, Helen, was the quiet enforcer. She never yelled. She didn't have to. She used guilt like a weapon. Don't upset your father. He works so hard. Be grateful. Gratitude, I learned, meant keeping quiet, meant shrinking, meant disappearing. My older brother, Marcus, copied Dad's arrogance like a blueprint. "You're wasting your time with hotels like that," he said when I opened my first location. "Real value is land, not apps and branding." He said this standing in front of a motel, where the roof sagged like it was tired of holding up our family's lives. My younger brother, Dylan, floated through life like the world owed him soft landings. He called himself an influencer, though he influenced nothing, except my constant urge to pay his overdue bills. And through those years, I learned to dress down around them. Soft sweaters, flat shoes, no jewelry. I didn't want to trigger the comments. Don't get arrogant. You think you're better because you have money. Can you help us just this once? I was shrinking myself to fit into a space they never wanted me to grow out of. Building my empire. They didn't know the truth behind my success. They didn't know I slept in my car for 3 months because rent was a luxury I couldn't afford. They didn't know how many drains I unclogged myself, how many nights I cried in bathrooms trying to pretend everything was fine. They didn't know the fear that woke me at 3 a.m. They didn't want to know. To them, my work was a hobby, a phase, a fluke, until the number hit 9 digits. Suddenly, I wasn't useless anymore. I was valuable. The news breaks. The morning the valuation went public, I was in my office reviewing renovation plans, sunlight catching the silver-framed wedding photo on my desk. My husband was smiling at me softly in the picture. Behind us, 4 empty chairs. My assistant, Ava Brooks, burst through the door breathless. "Rose," she said, "you need to see this." Every major outlet carried the same headline. independent hotel chain, surpasses $100 million valuation. My staff cheered, hugged me, brought out sparkling cider. But pride and heartbreak can sit side by side like strangers who refuse to touch. My phone buzzed nonstop. Investors, old classmates, people who once dismissed me. But not my family. Not one word. By late afternoon, the office grew quiet. The celebration faded. My smile faded with it. Real viewers only. Comment yes or no. I want to see who's actually paying attention. Then my phone buzzed again. Dad. My breath froze. No congratulations. No apology. Just family dinner at 7 p.m. important discussion. A summons, not an invitation. A command, not a connection. Ava read the message and sighed. They're not proud, she said softly. They're interested. And she was right. But I didn't yet know how right. The truth behind the dinner. By the time I got home, something felt wrong. Ava called. Her voice was tight. Rose, I looked into your dad's motels. My stomach dropped. They're collapsing, months behind on payments, contractors unpaid. One lender is preparing liquidation. Of course, the timing wasn't coincidence. It was convenience. They don't want you, Ava said. They want a bailout. I wasn't angry. Not screaming. Not shocked. It was a cold anger. The kind that doesn't boil. It freezes. What do you want to do? Ava asked. I breathed in deeply. I want the truth. The move They didn't see coming. The next morning, Ava and I reviewed every loan tied to the motels. Every overdue bill. Every reckless decision. We contacted the lender. They were relieved to get rid of the failing debt. By late afternoon, the acquisition was underway. I didn't bail my family out. I bought their cage. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. That evening, I didn't wear the soft sweaters I used to hide behind. I wore a black silk blouse, hair tied back, posture straight. I wasn't the Rose who needed their approval. I was the Rose who built an empire without them. Ava handed me a thick folder. Just show them the truth, she whispered. And that's exactly what I intended to do. The family dinner. The country club smelled of polished wood and old money. Dad's favorite scent. When I walked into the private dining room, everyone went silent. Quick challenge, describe this moment in one emoji. Let's see what you pick. Fire. Dad leaned back smug and entitled. Mom's fake smile trembled at the edges. Marcus looked annoyed. I made him wait. Dylan raised a glass lazily. Uncle Victor sat beside Dad, ready to pitch whatever scheme they'd planned. Dad didn't even say hello. Sit, he ordered. We need to talk. I didn't move. Funny, I said quietly. So do I. Mom gasped. Rose, don't use that tone. This is a family dinner. Family. How easily she said that word. Dad cleared his throat. We're in a situation, he began. The motels hit a rough patch. We just need a small infusion of capital for the family legacy. Marcus chimed in. You owe the family at least that much. I smiled slowly. Oh. Dylan added, come on, sis, don't be dramatic. Let's fix this together. I opened my bag. Their eyes glowed like predators waiting for prey. But instead of a checkbook, I slid the folder Ava prepared across the table. Dad flipped it open. His face drained. Marcus leaned in. What the hell is this? Victor paled. You bought the debt. I nodded. Through a holding company, clean, legal, final. I'm watching your comments right now. Tell me, should I continue the story or stop here? Dad slammed the folder. You think this is funny. You think you can take my legacy. It stopped being a legacy, I said, the moment you expected me to fix what you broke. Mom started crying. "Rose, how could you do this to your family?" "How could you?" I whispered. Dad stood up trembling. "If you leave this room without helping us, you are no daughter of mine." The room froze. I stood too, slowly, calmly. "You walked away first," I said. "At my wedding, on every important day of my life, you only show up when you need something." Mom sobbed. "Please don't do this." I pulled out a smaller envelope and placed it on the table. A buyout. $200,000. Enough for them to walk away with peace. Not power. 30 days, I said. Then your access ends. Marcus cursed. "You're kicking us out." "They're not yours," I replied. "The debt consumed the equity months ago." Dylan shook his head. "You've changed." "No," I whispered. "I finally stopped changing myself for you." Ava stepped into the doorway, holding backup documents. "If you have questions," she said, "direct them to our legal team." I grabbed my bag. Mom reached out weakly. "Rose, don't go." I looked at her, eyes burning. "I begged you once," I said. "At my wedding." And I walked out. Their voices crashed behind me. Anger, panic, disbelief. But none of it touched me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't running from them. I was walking toward myself. Rebirth. The next morning, sunlight filled my kitchen like a promise. Ava called. "The transition is complete. You officially control everything tied to the motels." I felt the weight lift. Not triumph. Not revenge. Release. Over the next weeks, contractors toured the properties. Designers mapped out a vision for serene wellness retreats. The buildings felt lighter. I felt lighter. My family didn't call. They didn't apologize. They didn't want the truth. But their silence no longer hurt. It just existed. One afternoon, I caught my reflection in a window. Strong, steady, unapologetic. I realized something. I didn't destroy anything. I simply stopped sustaining the pain. And walking out of that country club wasn't a loss. It was freedom. Ending note. If you've ever stepped away from people who used your loyalty as leverage, you know this truth. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the table where love was never served. Wait. Right now in the comments. One word. What did this story just make you feel? Geo. I'm reading every single one. 1 second pause. Type ghost if you got chills. Type respect if you're standing a little taller today. Do it now. Let's flood this comment section with American pride. Your turn. Comment fast.